My work is mostly biographical. So the point of departure always is personal experience, personal story or situation, experience I go through, and then I try to transform this in art, let's say art piece or artwork. Try to evoke things, but in kind of subjective and personal point of view. Even political situations related to Palestinian context treated also in a very personal way, which is go beyond the political dimension to reach conceptual, formal, aesthetic dimensions, which is very important for me too. It's totally intuitive. I was born just 6 months after the 67 war. So I was born in a context where you see war, where you live. My first memory as a child was soldiers surrounding our house, counting people. It was the first years of the occupation. Putting numbers on the doors, sometimes curfew and jeep, military jeep, shooting by the street, and adults, my father, uncle, hiding behind the door, and the atmosphere of fear and anxiety. So you cannot, in this situation, see the world things the same way as a child born in a very normal situation. This affects your life, affects your imagination and your perception of things. What I do is how to talk about this, how to evoke it in my work in a way that differs to or to go against the media narrative or media version of things. We should not see only the political dimension. Because this idea of disappearance, memory, identity, it crosses many works I've done. I continue to travel between Gaza and Europe. My work, in a part of it, especially in the last recent year, it's kind of representation of this life in between. These compositions, Gaza walls, and this tendency of taking care of compositions and colors and what you frame in the pictures, balance, it came from my pictorial period when I was painter. Because this work is really one of the first photographic works I've done myself. I started by recycling photographs done by others, but in this work, it was the first work I have done by myself and I acted as a photographer. And it was this transition between my pictorial work and what I done later using multimedia. In fact, I felt that photography, image in general, photography or video, make me come closer to the reality than what I used to do in painting by metaphorically evoking things through signs or colors and line, etc. I come to a point that I felt that painting was not enough to deal with subjects that I wanted to deal with. There is the land of your physical space where you are supposed to live, where you were born, where your fathers and ancestors born and lived. But also there is the possibility to decide your life, your identity. You don't have freedom to decide what to do, where to be, etc. when you wish. This is what we fight for as Palestinians, is the right of self-determination, which is the heart of the occupation, the meaning of the occupation. I was touched myself personally by this idea of disappearance, of death. When my brother has been killed in the first Intifada, in the beginning, the very beginning of the first Intifada in '87, every day there were many young people killed, children, young, old, older, and it was just awful, just heavy to feel, a feeling of sadness, but also powerless. You know, you see all this death, all this loss, and you cannot do anything. So I started to collect the portraits of these people. When you are front of the image, you see kind of black on black, only, or sometimes kind of negative, black and white negative. But when light come over, you can see black and white portrait. With these photos hanged one beside the other, really kind of wall, in the form of a grid covering the whole wall, when you walk in front of it, you see some portraits appears and other disappear. So this is create a kind of interaction between the work and the people. They have to move to be able to discover the faces, to recognize the faces. And was very, very touching when I showed this work for the first time in Gaza. Show this existence between appearance and disappearance. And this is the reality of the Palestinian today, between existence and non-existence. It's not a full existence, it's not a full disappearance, it's always kind of in between. In this work, the real estate agency or the Watchtower series, I am looking for how to subvert some situations using very well known or easy recognizable way of representation, to inject in them or to use them to represent or to talk or to evoke other reality that sometimes nothing to do with these point of departure, let's say, way of representation. For example, for the Watchtowers, I used the Bern and Hilla Bisher work, which is very well known. For people, it's very easy to know and to recognize when you enter the exhibition. But when they come closer, they discover another reality that they know, but they never see it from this point of view. I was struck by the resemblance between the series of water towers and the Israeli military watchtowers, especially those of cylindric form in concrete. When you look to my pictures, comparing to those of Bisher's, mine are very blurry, not excellent quality. While Bisher's were spending sometimes one day to have the ideal light, to have everything measured by millimeter and then take the picture. My photographer has to take it very fast. Indirectly reflects the clandestine conditions in which the photographs has been done, because it's very dangerous. They can shoot on you. They are considered like military zone. When you look to this wall with these photographs, the first thing you think about is Becher's, which was the same way of framing, black and white. I tried to find the same dimension to print. It's typological. You have different type of watchtowers. So only when you come closer, then you discover that it's not about Becher's, it's not about documenting any industrial heritage, but heritage of oppression and occupation and injustice, and bearing witness. And the real estate agency, it's the same aspect, the same principle, that you use daily life, something which is kind of banal and cliche. There is nothing more simple, more banal than real estate agency. But when you come closer, you are struck by another reality. Houses that you're supposed to rent or live in or to buy, they are totally destroyed, keeping all other elements exactly as a real estate agency. But the only element which change is the house itself. It's totally destroyed. Kind of portraits of these houses as if they were people. The most hard way of punishment is to destroy the house, because destroying the house means paralyzing your life, the place you were born in, the place you lived most of your life, and suddenly you are just nowhere. So I have to dig to find another way to evoke these questions and to place them in another space, more human, more universal than information space, from media space, where they used to be seen only, because it's very limited and only you see Palestinians as provocators or terrorists or just victims. In a situation of emergency that we have in Gaza, I felt that I have to go to the street and to be with people and to document my life. I never photographed demonstrations or clashes between soldiers and young people throwing stones and soldiers shooting on them. It was not my issue. I wanted really to show the human dimension of the life of the people in Gaza. Because for me, I believe that conflicts, wars, one day this will change. This will have an end, I hope. Fathers, they are portraits. I go to many shops and workspaces or commerce spaces in Gaza, and I photographed these portraits of the owner of the spaces, of these places that people used to hang behind the counter or on the shelves. What was interesting for me, what around the pictures, like calendar, clocks, prayer carpets, political posters, merchandise, all these elements, kind of unconscious collage, unconscious arrangement, because each place has totally different way of arranging these elements. It's kind of still life. And what was interesting for me in this work is this ambiguous border between intimate place and public one, because these shops, this is the shop of the family. The owner are the kids or the sons of the man who you see in the picture. It's very personalized, But in the same time, this place is open to the street. You can enter and go out. It's open to commerce and commercial exchange. It's an in-between. It's about appearance, disappearance, being in between presence and absence, and about memory, but from daily life. They are ordinary people. Home Away from Home trace the history and the trajectory of my close cousins who left Gaza and traveled through many Arab countries, then ended in United States, where they are living in Florida and California today. These cousins that I never met since I was a child. We started to know each other, to spend time. Then I started to work slowly to do pictures. What was interesting for me is this life between two cultures. They are Palestinians, Arabs, Muslim, living in US, some since 50 years now. How they live this situation, especially in the American context today since the elections of Trump and his positions concerning immigrants and Muslims. I also wanted to dig through my life too, because working on them, unconsciously or indirectly, I find myself digging in mine too. Somehow I felt that they were a mirror for me. Somehow I entered in their life. Sometimes it was difficult for me to define the borders between me, the artist, Taysir, the cousin who's come to work, to observe the family and to do work about the family, and Taysir, the cousin who's from the family and sharing with them history. They missed Palestine because they still connected, although they are, at least in California, they are living in a very comfortable situation, very high lifestyle. They follow the news every day. They're still in contact with the family. They are calling so often. The food they eat is totally Palestinian. California, I found it really easier to find Middle Eastern or Palestinian or Arab ingredients than in Europe. So I eat 100% Palestinian there. Even some dishes that I didn't eat maybe since 20 years. One of my questions was how they consider themselves today. Americans, Arabs, Palestinians, Palestinian Arabs, what kind of definition they give to themselves. Today we are Americans. We are both Palestinians and Americans.